Hello, my name is Alexander McFadden. Today I will be presenting my Cartography Final project. As an environmental scientist, I wanted to do something environmentally oriented, so I looked at spatial distributions of oil and gas wells as well as large-scale mining sites around Alaska and their spatial relationship to sensitive populations and natural park reserves as well as rivers. So here we are on the large-scale mining site page. Here's the first map that I created. So when creating my map, first I wanted to make sure that I had the correct coordinate system for Alaska. Next, I made sure that Canada and Alaska are different colors. Canada is a much darker color than Alaska. I need to emphasize what Alaska is in comparison to Canada. Of course, I gave Canada a label with a sans serif font. So for the polygon of Alaska, I had to aggregate polygons to get rid of some of the islands, as well as simplify the polygon to make sure that there weren't any borders around the polygon collapsing. I then used the smooth polygon tool to get rid of the sharp corners that were produced by the simplify polygon tool. So for this website, I decided to do a case study, a mine that stands out above the rest and is the most unique out of all of them. And that one is Red Dog Mine. I wanted to emphasize that fact through the symbology, so I gave it a different symbol relative to the other mines. So I gave Red Dog Mine a star, while the other mines were triangles. I made sure that these mines had large symbols and that they had a dark red color to stand out relative to the other. As for the other polygons, for the rivers, I made sure to simplify the lines. You know, there were a lot of contours for the rivers, and I wanted to make sure that they weren't collapsing on top of each other. I also added labels that had a halo around them, and then they went with the curvature of the river. As for the national parks, I made sure to get rid of the outlines of them and give them a green color. I got rid of the outlines because I just wanted to focus on the distributions of them. I wasn't focused on the national parks, like their specifics, like which national park it is, so that's also why I didn't end up providing labels for it. As for other map elements, I made sure to add a North Star at the top right to provide spatial context. I added a legend to make sure that individuals viewing the map knew what each of the polygons, the vector layers, were. I then added a scale bar to provide more spatial context, and then a source to provide where I got this information. For the left portion, for the title, I made sure to use a serif font. I also added myself so people knew who did the cartography. I then had a gap between the title and the inset map, so I decided to add a photo of Red Dog Mine to provide context of my case study, and I provided a fact about how much waste it produces each year, or in 2017, which is indicative of how much it produces each year. As for providing more spatial context, I added an inset map with a smaller scale to show where it is in North America and relative to other portions of the world. And of course, I provided a border for the large map of Alaska. Moving on, so below the map is information on the case study that I did, Red Dog Mine. It provides when it was created, when it will probably end up, and operations, and a lot of information about its pollutants overall, how much it's polluting, the type of pollutants it's releasing, as well as a graph of it relative to other mines in Alaska and showcase how it really is a case study much, much different. So this map is very similar to the previous map, so I'm just going to focus on the different the polygons that are different in the situation. So the polygons for the oil and gas wells I had to make smaller due to the fact that they're much more dense, but I didn't want to make them too small so that you wouldn't be able to see the ones that were spread out by themselves. So I made them large enough so that you could see the individual ones, but small enough so that you could really, really understand where the oil and gas wells are the most dense. I then, for my case study, I did a oil spill extent, and so that's a polygon, so I gave it a reddish color, and then I made it very, very transparent so you could see the oil well distributions as well as its extent across the coast of Alaska. Scrolling down, you will see the case study that provides information of how the oil spill happened and its details, what it affected, how long did it take to clean up, and how much was eventually cleaned up. Coming back to the home page, when you're on the home page, you just have to scroll down, and there are links to both the mining site and the oil and gas well sites. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.